What's up, Goon Squad? It's your boy back again, Jody Magic Fest Keith, here with another Storytime video. This is going to be a long one. I don't usually tell the long stories, but I'm going to cover everything leading up to, during, and after Star City Games Philly right into MC Barcelona. Now, if you don't know, MC Barcelona, I qualified through MCQ, and I found out that I actually really couldn't afford to buy my plane ticket to go. I did a video about how I started a GoFundMe, the hate around that, and all the people who supported me to get there. And now that the event is concluded, I really want to do a long form story to tell how it all went down and how much I enjoyed the event. I actually bought my ticket through Philadelphia because it was a little cheaper, and that allowed me to play Star City Games Philadelphia team event the weekend before. So it was a long 12-day adventure that I didn't expect, but it was a great time. To start out, I flew out to Philly, and I got there before one of my teammates. Tom was one of my teammates, Tom Ross. He was going to be my teammate, but he was getting in later that night. But my boy Bucky Boy, who you've seen on my stream recently, we call him Bucky Boy, Dustin Buckingham. He top aided the Grand Prix of Niagara to qualify for his first Mythic Championship. So I was really dead set on trying to qualify, which I did immediately after returning from London. And I didn't want him to go at it alone because, you know, it's one thing to qualify for a Pro Tour, but I remember my first Pro Tour, I was a little nervous. I didn't really know what to expect. So being able to be a guiding light for his first event, despite how not well he did, it was satisfying to be able to pass on some knowledge, experience that I have had with the Pro Tour to get him ready for it. And I think I did it well. I think there was a lot of variance on his side that didn't work out. But we get to Philly. I'm in Philly, and I don't know, when you travel for that long period of time, when you leave your house, I don't know if y'all have the same feeling, but you always feel like you forgot something. And it's like, man, I feel like I forgot something now. Bucky had a bunch of cards. I borrowed a bunch of cards. We got all the cards, mostly. We get up there. We're deciding to play one deck. We're going to play Blue-White or Esper Urza deck that I had played. You'll see a lot of those videos on my YouTube that I tried on the way up. And I convinced Bucky to play the same. So for Philadelphia, we get there, and I have to wait like 3 to 4 hours. Since the event site is like 50 minutes away, I decided to wait to share an Uber or train with Bucky. So I'm sitting in the airport for like 4 hours, and to my dismay, I realized that I left half of my laptop charger at home, and I also was missing some cards, a whole deck box of cards actually that I still need to find. And that had a lot of the scape shifts that I was going to play because I was tasked with being the standard player on our team. Because of the three of us, I was the best standard player, I guess, because I won a standard Grand Prix. I didn't test too much. I've been playing a bunch of Nexus, but with the pop-up of the new Flash deck and standard, I really didn't want to be the Nexus player. And then they had Scape Shift, which was the hot new deck, so I decided to try that out. I tried a rug version of the deck. We show up. We checked into the hotel. It was nice. Philadelphia, we stayed at the Valley Forge. It was a nice venue. Definitely enjoyed the event there. The stay was nice. We ended up getting out there and hanging out for the first day. Decided what list I was going to play. Then showed up the next day, got all the cards. Last minute, shout out Dark BK helping me sleeve my deck. And I got some BCW sleeves, the Elite Guard 2s. This is the first time that I ever tried those sleeves. I tried their first line, which I didn't like because I used to team with a few of the BCW guys, and they would give you some sleeves to play with. And I never liked the BCW sleeves. I found that they split pretty often the first reign of them, and then I saw on Twitter about them, and I voiced my concern, and I was able to get a second try at them. So I tried the Elite Guard 2s, and I actually really did like those sleeves. What I liked most about the sleeves, they shuffled a lot better than the previous ones. I'm a Dragon Shields guy. I've always done the Dragon Shield, pink Dragon Shields mats, and unfortunately I was playing the Matted Compass in my deck, which is a flip card. So the first thing that I loved about the sleeves is that the inside of the sleeves have black on the background, so you can't see through them. So even if you play a lighter color, like I was playing purples, you can't actually see through them because of the black on the inside. So that's a big perk to those sleeves. If you like different color sleeves, which I do, I don't like playing black sleeves because everybody plays black sleeves. but I do often play cards that flip. Search for Escanta and Thematic Compass, things that like some people get down with Delvers. If you're gonna play flip cards and you don't want to play with checklist cards, then these are the sleeves for you. Also, I felt like they shuffled well and they lasted through the whole event. I did not split a single sleeve, and they actually felt real good. So I do recommend. I don't know. I'd probably give them 8.5 out of 10. I haven't played them in multiple events, so that could easily go up. As far as the durability, they were great for one tournament. I think I'm going to play them tomorrow to find out how they last through multiple events, and I'm sure they're going to do great. So definitely make sure you give those sleeves a try, especially if you didn't like the ones before. I do like those sleeves. So sleeved up my deck, got ready for the event, and now I'm looking at playing Scape Shift. I started off winning a few rounds, but our wins just didn't line up, and we died pretty early. So I was able to focus on my modern deck for the qualified classic that I was in. So I played the Esper version of the Urza deck, and I found that it was a little slow in some spots, and I lost the Arya Flame a couple times, and I decided that I didn't want to play possibly Celestial Purge or something in that mix. And then I decided that after losing red also that I wanted more timely reinforcements, and that I would play Jeskai at the Pro Tour the next week. I was like, I need Goblin Engineer. It's just too fast. The format's too fast, so I definitely want to play Goblin Engineer. So from Philly, I ate a lot of cheesesteak, and I lost half my charger. I found this store, I think it's called Micro World, Micro something, and it's like this superstore for all electronics, and they actually had just the piece of cord that I needed for my laptop, which was awesome. So I went there, and then we got some Philly cheesesteak, went to the airport. Now, I always forget a bunch of stuff. I forgot a deck box, I forgot half a laptop, but I'm hanging out with Bucky Boy now. To give you a little backstory on Bucky Boy, he is one of the most put together people that I know. He runs a business, he's got a family business, he's got a family, he runs everything, he has a schedule, he does his thing, and so it's kind of like the Odd Couple, me and him traveling. So we get to Philadelphia, we're going to check into our flight, and he's like, yo, I'm going to upgrade your flight, that way we can sit next to each other. I was like, oh, sweet, bro. So we go to check in, and his passport expires 2 weeks after our return flight from Barcelona. Guess what that means? You can't fly. Now, I knew that. If it expires within 90 days, you can't fly. So they were like, yeah, you're not going to be able to fly. So we went and talked and stood in a line and then talked. I said, listen, man, we're going to make this thing work out. And he was kind of freaking out about it. And I was like, dude, it always works until it doesn't, man. So let's just keep trying to make it work. That's just kind of how I make it work all the time. That's how my life exists. And so we stand in line, and we end up getting the lady to push his flight back and my flight back a day. And she actually upgraded my flight to premium economy in the midst of all this. She's a very sweet lady. And we had to spend another night in Philadelphia, which allowed us to go get his passport renewed. He spent 7 hours in the passport office. I did a little stream, did some practice, did some more draft, hung out another night in Philadelphia, went and got some ice cream in Philadelphia, went out to eat. It was nice. All the food on this trip was mostly good. And so once we knocked all that out, we were set for Barcelona. He got his passport. We made it to the airport on time. Boom, boom, boom. Got everything we need. We get out to Barcelona. We're staying in Airbnb with some other Magic players, and it was a great group. We had Eric, Nick, John, Nick's wife, and it was a good little group. We had the Airbnb. It was nice. It was right downtown, next to the train station. Barcelona's a beautiful city. First thing I immediately realized was the architecture. Spanish architecture is the same as the French Quarter in New Orleans. It's gorgeous. It's old. European cities are beautiful. Most people don't know that about New Orleans, but the French Quarter, a lot of the architecture was from the Spanish era of Louisiana. So it kind of felt at home. Everybody was speaking Spanish. That was cool. There was didn't have too much trouble because I don't speak too much Spanish, but a lot of people did speak English. So we got by with the few words that we knew. Tried vermouth at almost every place. We ate tapas everywhere. We would go on tapas sprees, go get tapas at one place and get a couple of them, and then go to the next one, get a drink at each one. Did a lot of eating, did a lot of drinking. The beer was cheaper than the water. gorgeous. And so we just kind of hung out for the first day or two, and then we got ready for the event. I showed up at the event, didn't do too well at the event. I started off losing my first round draft. My draft didn't pay off. I forced snow, as you see me do on the stream plenty, and just couldn't get paid in the last pack. So I lost the first round. Second round, I won game one. In game two, I presented a 39 card deck, got deck checked. Apparently, I dropped a forest on the ground, and I got a game loss. So then I lost game three. So I was 0-2 starting out the Pro Tour. Then I won the next round, and I couldn't really rally. I did play against Kai Bood, who's like, you know, one of the greatest Magic players ever. So that was nice to be able to play him. And I won that one. I lost the PVD. I couldn't draw a third land. I drew 4 Urzas in game 3 and 3 Urzas in game 1 and just couldn't get underneath my ensnaring bridge. Pretty unfortunate, and had multiple draws and died to 2-1s against Hogak, which was terrible. But, you know, played it out. Lost to Hogak in the last round and missed day 2. So I qualified for the Grand Prix. Played the Grand Prix. Switched my list up. Tried something completely different. I tried a list that I saw coming from Harlan Fear, and I got his sideboard guide, which there was a lot wrong with it. But I tried to play it in the Grand Prix, and I learned a lot, updated it, which was cool, and I finished 7-2 day 1 and then 5-1 day 2. But in between day 1 and day 2, had a great time. I was actually out at this bar downstairs. I said, I'm going to go get a Jack and water. I went downstairs. I'll get the Jack and water. Next door, there's this bar called the Disco. Little bar. It's not a disco bar. It's just a bar. And we were there. That's called Disco. Disco Joe's is what it is. And we were there and we were hanging out. I did a little video, put it up on my Instagram. Make sure you follow me on Instagram. And it is also on my YouTube and my Twitter. And we were hanging out there. And then after having a couple of those, I was like, I need to get the keys so I could go upstairs, because they were planning on going out and meeting up with Tom and a bunch of other people. So we ended up leaving, and on the way out there was this woman outside, and she was a transgender woman, and she just started accosting Bucky boy. And now Bucky's married, he's got the ring on his finger. And she was like, oh yeah, I give you an erotic massage. And me, I was antagonizing the shit, I ain't gonna lie. I was like, oh yeah, I said, he got his own room. Even though I was sharing a room with Bucky, I was like, Bucky, I'll sleep on the couch, man. He's got his own room. Bugging it up, the whole situation. And so she started rubbing his shoulders and everything, and I was like, no, you got to get him behind the ears. He really likes it behind his ears. She starts massaging behind his ears. Oh, it was hilarious. And the next thing, she started asking for beer money, and he was like, oh, no. And then like she went to go grab his dick. I was like, she is about to grab his dick right here in front of everybody. Oh man. So he's like, we gotta get out of here. So he starts to run off. So we all start running, and we went and caught a cab to go to the next place. And we showed up at the party, and it started out, Bucky just bought 17 rounds. I guess it was a tequila, I don't know. And so we're all drinking and hanging out with a bunch of other content creators and other Magic players. And while I was there, I've had a kind of beef with one of the players there. So I was cool with everybody there. And I felt that there was a problem based off of a match where I fucked up against another player. And so we were having a great time. So I decided to squash that there. And it was squashed. And so I definitely felt like it was a good time because I squashed that. And I feel like I get misunderstood in a lot of situations. And I'm generally, you know, a good guy. I'm out here, you know, I mean, some people don't agree with me, and that's okay. And I don't agree with some people, and that's okay. But being able to, like, not understand, some people don't understand where you're coming from. And once they do, I think you really got to understand where people come from. If you don't take the time to understand them, then you're always going to misjudge them. So was able to squash some stuff that I had out there to make for a great group and a good time. Then we went to, I'm not going to name any names, but y'all know who was there. It was a great time. There was one player who was really drunk, and we decided to go to the next spot, which was a bar. Now, my phone had died, so I wrote down an address to be able to meet up with everybody. So we ended up getting to the next joint, and there's a line for this club, and the club is crazy. They got a big glass. You can sit in glass so you can see inside the club upstairs. You got people lined up against the wall, and I'm up against the wall doing the line thing. So we're trying to get into the club, and there's like 2 rows of barricades. I guess one's VIP. we're up against the wall, and one of the players runs up and he's drunk. He's like going to hop the barricade. The bouncers scoop him up. So now he's at the front of the line, outside the line, and I'm like, oh man. And so I was like, yo, we got to get this guy, make sure he doesn't get like, arrested or nothing crazy. So it looks like he goes towards the back of the line. So we start letting everybody pass us in the line because we don't want to leave the line, waiting on him to catch up with us. And we're waiting and waiting and waiting. People are going by and we don't see him. And then comes to find out somehow he got into the club while we were still waiting for him. He wasn't in the line at all. And so then we ended up just jumping out of the line and not going into the club. And we're outside and I'm looking up and they got all the women dancing on the walls. One of them looks out and starts waving. So I start flashing, Mardi Gras style. I'm flashing. So she gets all her friends to turn around and start looking at me and my big ass. We was having a good time. And then, it was 5 a.m. whenever we got back to the house. And then I tried to stay up to let one of the other housemates in, and it didn't work. I ended up passing out at like 5:20, and then at that point in time, I had to wake up at 8 o'clock to be at the Grand Prix for 9. I woke up at 8:20, barely made it there on time, and then rattled off a 5-1 to come in 32nd place for a 12-3 finish, which was nice. I switched to a different version of Urza, which was good. Then after that, we got to go out. Now, I didn't have much sleep, but we hit a bunch of tapas joints. A lot of gelato everywhere, which was nice. I've never really had gelato before, and it's just way better than ice cream. And all the food is way better in Europe. I think the quality of the food, it's not as processed. Everything was just better. I was eating my ass off. And took a lot of pictures. A lot of that stuff's up on Instagram as well. And then we had one more. The next afternoon, we heard something about you can volunteer to get off of an overbooked flight. So I was like, okay, well, I'm down to do that. They said, yeah, they can give you like $400. So I'm standing in line, and we were standing in line to board the plane, and we were with Andrew Cuno. He just happened to be in the line right in front of us, and he was like, man, I would hold out for $1,000. So when they pulled us aside, they were like, you're a volunteer, you don't board yet, we're going to see what's going on. They said, listen, we actually really need y'all to miss this flight. We're going to up it to $1,000. So they ended up giving us $1,000 in flight credit, which is great because it's going to pay for some flights to some events for the rest of this year. And they decided to put us up in a hotel. They had to take our bag off the plane. We sat in the airport forever before they put us in a 5-star hotel, which was beautiful. And they booked us on a flight for the next day through Air France. So we're hanging out in the hotel. We're doing a lazy day. Then they call us that night, and they're like, yeah, the flight tomorrow was actually overbooked, so we have to put you on the flight the next day. No big deal. So then we go to sleep, stay up, we wake up, and I wake up to the hotel trying to kick me out of the hotel. And apparently they moved us back, but they didn't confirm another night in the hotel. So we had to be on the phone with the people. So I was like, oh, man, we're about to be homeless in Spain, homeless in paradise. And we ended up working it out with the airline. They ended up talking to them and letting us stay, along with some free meals. And we walked around, checked out the local scene. Chocolate croissants. You got to get chocolate croissants if you go to Spain. And it's funny because I did all that. The next day we had the other flight. Got on the flight, came home. First thing I did was go get a po' boy, which is a New Orleans sandwich. I had to go get one of them. Was talking about them when we were eating the cheesesteak out in Philly to one of the Uber drivers, and I was like, man, you gotta get me a po' boy. We ain't got a po' boy. Me and my girlfriend ain't got a po' boy. That was great. And then I went to the one place in New Orleans where you can get gelato, and got some gelato. And I'll tell you what, it is not the same. It is not the same. You can only eat gelato in Spain, or I guess Italy, Europe in general. Don't mess with the gelato in New Orleans, I hate to say. But it was all a pretty good trip, and I learned a lot about magic. Met a lot of new friends. I met a lot of other content producers, Holy Diva, Jess. Met a lot of fans. I was able to give the box away that one of the people from my podcast won a box. I was able to give him the box that he won in person, which was cool. Got to meet a fan. Some people are a little nervous about meeting Magic players. I really hope that nobody's ever nervous about meeting me, because I get down with everybody. So don't be shy. And it would not have been possible if not for the GoFundMe. Y'all really pulled it together for me to be able to get me out there, which was great. I had a great time, and I made a memory and made a story out of it. So I hope you enjoyed the story. I'd love to hear about your time spent in Europe. What was the coolest thing? Have you ever been in Barcelona? I mean, I think I could live there. I mean, you bottle of wine, $7 at dinner. That's nuts. So the food, it was cheap. So was the and delicious. The paella was insane. I got some seafood paella with mussels and clams and shrimp and oh my gosh, and calamari. That was nuts. That was probably the best dish I had was the paella. That was good. The chocolate croissants were always great. The gelato on every corner. That was awesome. The potatoes bravos. Oh man, that's the good food. I think I should just do like a food deal whenever I travel on these magic events because you find the good stuff, and there was a lot to be found in Spain. I'd love to hear your comments down below. What do you think about Europe? What do you think about the Pro Tour? There's a lot of rumors saying that it's going to be gone next year. I hope that's not so because Bucky had his first one. He had a great time. And I just wish that every Magic player would get a chance to play at the highest level and travel and play the game and see the world. So, love to hear what you think about it down below. One love, good vibes. I'll catch you on the next one.